from India is Padmanabh Gopinath. What do you think prejudice is, Gopi?
I think prejudice is willful ignorance. It is dictated only by emotion, and the fear and suspicion it creates has caused more bloodshed than anything else I can think of.
And as all great people, I always seem to think that they're English, and aren't I lucky to be an English person because it's so nice?
Well, that's extremely interesting because I've noticed that most Englishmen think that history began with the signing of the Magna Carta. It might be of some interest to you to know that history began some 3,000 years before that in the river valleys of the Indus, when your savage Anglo-Saxons were still running about dressed in skins.
Because I would say that India was friendly towards Britain.
I should say so, and that is the credit which lies entirely with us and not with you. And in the second place, I should also say that your policy of saying that all these countries wished for it, it was you who was putting the wish in their mouths. There was not much they could do. So what is Sarawak, by the way? Who are the responsible people in Sarawak? It's a rainforest. Anyway, the British come there and say, after all, Sarawak wants nothing. The rainforest never speaks anyway. And then you get your, you give them a democratic way of life in due course of time. You are not giving those people a democratic way of life because you feel they ought to give it. This is just a camouflage retreat from a position you know is no longer tenable.
Sarah, the amount of wealth you took out of India, that is nothing compared to what you did for us. You took tremendous amount of wealth. You built up the whole British kingdom from India.
But what is material wealth?
I don't know what material wealth is. I wonder. Do you realize that without material wealth, your great empire would not have lasted a single moment? And do you also realize that it was because of our wealth, with our crops, our cotton, our jute, which has helped to make you a great empire? And in return for this, you offer us a vaguely nebulous democratic way of life, which you would have come to anyway. In my country, I think we had the ideals of democracy long before they were ever thought of in your little island.
When did you have the idea of
We had the ideals of democracy. We had the village councils, what we call the village panchayats, where the elected elders of the village managed the village as an administrative unit. That was done as far back 3,500 years before Christ.
Oh, I think
Yes, you do, yes.
That's
I
my own
entirely
opinion.
disagree. I think it's something that's ingrained in the Hindus and the Muslims from time immemorial when we were little painted blue savages running around in skins.
Well, let me tell you, by the time when you're little blue painted savages running around in skins, as you most aptly put it, the Muslims did not exist. They came in very much later. And in the second place, although I agree that in later years there was some friction, you definitely played off the Muslims against each other. You left us with a great heritage of a divided country after you left.
The minute I wonder, were we right to go in and attack what we considered a barbarous nation? Then I begin to consider, well, what would that nation have been like today? Would it have managed to progress itself? Or would it be just another nation which would have been taken in under the communist wing?
I wouldn't know exactly as to that, but I'm sure that democracy could have evolved on its own. It's not necessary, it was not injected by you into our veins. We did not require that injection.